The Beatles here on Democracy Now!, democracynow.org, The War and Peace Report. I'm Amy Goodman as we turn now to the latest in the Obama administration's crackdown on the whistleblower group WikiLeaks. Last week it was revealed the Justice Department has subpoenaed the internet company Twitter for personal information from several people linked to WikiLeaks, including its founder, Julian Assange. The subpoena asked Twitter for all records and correspondence relating to their accounts, including apparently private direct messages sent through Twitter. The subpoena was issued on December 14th, but Twitter was under a gag order until last week. It's unclear if Facebook or any other internet companies have received similar subpoenas. The subpoena asked for the complete account information of 5 people: Julian Assange, Bradley Manning, the Army intelligence specialist who was arrested in May on suspicion of leaking classified material to WikiLeaks and remains in solitary confinement for over 7 months, WikiLeaks, 2 computer programmers, and Birgitta Jonsdottir, a member of the Icelandic Parliament. She collaborated with WikiLeaks, including on its release of classified U.S. military video footage of the deadly helicopter attack on Iraqi civilians that took place on July 12th. 2007. She arrived in Canada this week, and she joined me via Skype from Toronto for an interview. I began by asking her how she first found out about the subpoena.
I got this subpoena with asking for all these extra information, not only my tweets. Of course, I don't care if they have access to my tweets. It's public. I just find it disturbing that they are asking for all the other information and that they're doing this under gag order. And I'm not familiar with the U.S. law, but I think it is possible because of the terrorist law or increased legislations to spy on citizens of the United States because of 9/11. And I also am concerned about all the other social media, including Google, Mail, and so forth. And I find it to be important to stand firm against simply handing over this information, not just for me, but for everybody else that uses these social services.
How exactly did they get in touch with you? Did the U.S. authorities get in touch with you?
Well, they didn't. I got a letter from Twitter where they notified me and the others about the fact that they had been requested to hand over this information and that they had managed to unseal the sealed document. If they would have done as the U.S. authorities requested them to do, to hand this over within 3 days without letting us know, then obviously I would not be talking about this right now and would not have had any opportunity to defend myself.
Mm-hmm. What does it mean that the U.S. is subpoenaing information of an Icelandic member of Parliament, Birgitta?
Well, I think that opens up a whole can of worms when it comes to parliamentary immunity worldwide. And that's why Icelandic authorities are taking this very seriously, and the Foreign Affairs Minister and the Justice Minister have both said that they are concerned about this and are looking into this. And the President of the Icelandic Parliament, equivalent to the Speaker of the House, is looking into the legalities around this issue. And let's just turn the tables around, and currently there's an investigation into how Iceland became a part of the coalition of the willing for the Iraqi war, and there's an investigation in our part in it. Let's say that I would like to get the information from all members of the Foreign Affairs Committee in the U.S. Senate in relation to their knowledge about war crimes in Iraq. Would the U.S. authorities feel comfortable with that? Let's say every member of parliament that has ever fought for Tibet or Taiwan or other countries that China is not happy about, would the rest of the, let's say the United States parliamentarians be happy if China would have similar orders on their privacy?
Mm-hmm. Can you talk about what Twitter did? They challenged the gag order in court. Then they told the targets, among them you, Birgitta Jonsdottir, that their data was being requested, giving you a chance to try and quash the order yourself. But so what has Twitter done at this point? They've told you.
They told me Friday, I got a letter from them last Friday, that I had 10 days to do something about this. And they also suggested that I would be in touch with EFF and other similar
Electronic
organizations.
Frontier Foundation.
Yes, which I did. I actually have to say that I'm quite happy with how Twitter handled this. And I certainly hope, I haven't gotten any letters from the other social media that I use. I certainly hope that they have, if they have gotten similar subpoenas, stood firm like Twitter.
Do you know if Google, if Facebook, some of these?
I don't know, but I would very much like to know. That's one of the things that I will be looking into getting information about through my lawyers.
Birgitte Jonsdottir, can you talk about your involvement in WikiLeaks, how you got involved, what you've done?
Well, I've always been an activist, and I did fight very hard to try to stop the war in Iraq by organizing big protests in Iceland with others, and I did protest when I heard what was going in Fallujah and so forth. So when I saw this video, Julian Assange showed it to me while he was in Iceland in March. I felt compelled to do everything I could do to help with it. So I both put my name on it as a co-producer, and I did a lot of research work. I coordinated volunteers in Iceland, and basically did whatever I needed to do in order to make the deadline that we had set to make it noticed by collaborating with mainstream media, Icelandic state television, and sent some people from there, Kristinn Hrafnsson and his assistant, to do look into if they could find, for example, the children, which they found. And then I have also acted as a spokesperson for WikiLeaks, and particularly for collateral murder, and also when Julian Assange and the rest of us heard in the news that Bradley Manning had been arrested and on the grounds of that he had leaked something for WikiLeaks. So Julian went undercover in Australia and offered to act as a spokesperson while he could not do it himself. And I support websites like WikiLeaks, and I support whistleblowers, and I think it's important to have strong legislation for sources. And I find it to be appalling that what the U.S. authorities and others that obviously fear that their information is going to be made available to the people that should have access to it, they're trying to criminalize whistleblowers, and they're trying to criminalize those that make their material accessible for the rest of us.
Just to clarify the significance of this videotape, which Democracy Now! Played also last spring, the release of the videotape of July 12, 2007, that showed U.S. Apache helicopter was taken by the military from the helicopter, targeting a group of Iraqis below. Two of them worked for Reuters, and they were being taken around by people in the community in New Baghdad in Iraq, and they opened fire on them. And they killed Namir Nur Eldin, as well as Saeed Shama, his driver, the two Reuters employees. And Reuters had tried for years to get a copy of this videotape, which they knew existed, and they were not able to. And it was only through this release that we now understand what happened. And then the van came up to help. I think it was Saeed Shama, who wasn't quite dead yet, though blown up. And the helicopter attacked the van, and those are the two children you're talking about who were severely injured inside. Others were killed.
Yeah, they only survived because I think their father's body covered them. They killed their father. His father, the children's father, was driving them to school, noticed the wounded man and tried to help him, and they were all killed as a result of that, except the children, by some miracle, survived. And I think it was actually interesting. There was an interview with the chief of Amnesty International in Iceland just after she had seen the video, just as it was released. And she said that by watching the van being shot up the way it was shot up, she felt as if it was witnessing a Red Cross van being shot up. It felt so outrageous to see civilians trying to help a wounded man being killed like that.
Bradley Manning the man who's accused of leaking these videotapes, who's being held in solitary confinement, not convicted. He is pre-trial, has been held in solitary confinement for many months, first in Kuwait, then at Quantico. There's going to be a protest there at Quantico. Now, in the United States, there's increasing attention on this isolation. The Los Angeles Times has a headline, an editorial headlined, "Soldiers' Inhumane Imprisonment." Can you talk about how he's being dealt with, Brigitte Jonstedt here?
Yes, and thank you so much for mentioning him and for your work in making people aware of his situation. Since he is the person that is in prison because of the video, we don't know if he is indeed the person that leaked it or not. It doesn't really matter. He is accused of it. He has been in prison in solitary confinement for 7.5 months now. And it was a very excellent article by Glenn Greenwald about his condition that sort of brought him back on the map. I really strongly encourage anybody in WikiLeaks to make themselves aware of what is going on with Bradley Manning. They can actually hold him forever without charging him or putting him on trial because of it's sort of similar as the Guantanamo Bay situation with him. So I think it is really high time for everybody to put their eyes to Bradley Manning and support him. Also, I would very much like for similar actions for Bradley Manning as for Julian Assange in London. And it's been quite shocking that very many people that know of WikiLeaks don't know who Bradley Manning is. So it is very important that we make ourselves aware of the situation he is in. He has just turned 23, and apparently he is in very harsh conditions. It is probably the harshest solitary confinement you can be in. So I would yet again like to say that I fully support Bradley Manning, and I would be happy to do whatever I need to do to help him.